Okay, so now we have the boring things out of the way, we can start with the content. We're going to start with the textures, and after that we can move on to materials. There's not that much to say about textures, so this will go rather fast. However, materials is a much larger part of this video. First of all, textures. It's pretty much the same as PC or console or any other platform. There's not too much difference there. The one big difference that there is, however, is that mobile devices cannot accept non-square textures. So all the textures that you use should really be square. So here we have a non-square texture, it's rectangular. What would happen if you import this? It will work, but what will happen in the game is the following. It would simply stretch it. So it would do this in game. So you're going to get stretching in your texture, and it will also take more memory because it suddenly got twice as big. So that's the thing with mobile, everything should be square. You cannot use rectangular textures. You cannot use 1024 by 16. You cannot use 1024 by 512, etc. Everything has to be 1024 by 1024, 512 by 512, etc. Now in the texture supplied with this video, because what I did here is in the texture package, not all of these are square. These are actually unaltered materials that come from the standard UDK example content. Well, not all of those are square, and that's actually incorrect. For example, this one is obviously not square. That's actually incorrect, but since I'm working here with PC content that Epic made, I wasn't able to fix that anymore. So I've set it up like that anyway, but if you were to make your own game and you were to produce your own artwork, you should really make sure it's square. Okay, so that's the one thing that's special. Other than that, there is nothing really special about it. You just import it the normal way, over there, etc. And you just use normal options, normal import options. So if it's a diffuse texture, you simply import it as is pretty much. If it's a normal texture, you make sure you select a compression, normal map, etc. There's not really that much difference there. You should, however, be careful with some of the other compression levels. I pretty much only stick to default and normal map. Everything else here is pretty much unsupported or will be converted back to the same format that default is. So I only tend to use the first two. And that aside, there's not that much you can do. A lot of these things are also not supported on mobile. For example, wrap and clamp is not supported on mobile, so it will just ignore all of those things. It will ignore the mip-map as far as I know. The filtering will be ignored. Pretty much everything here is ignored. It does it much simpler on mobile than on PC. You don't have many options. As far as I know, the only thing that works is this, compression settings, and then it only takes the first two. Then the lot group it takes, which comes back to the lot settings in the ini files. And as far as I know, that's actually everything pretty much. There's one setting here that's specific for mobile, and that's PVRTC4. If you enable this, it will create a higher quality version of that texture. So by default textures, when you import a texture and you save the package, it should take quite a lot of time. It should take quite a bit more time than it does on PC. You should see this box come out that says converting texture to PVRTC, and that's the mobile texture format. So it will do that anyway, and if you don't see that box, then it means your ini files are wrong. So you should really quite clearly see that box, and that can take quite a long time, even on a powerful computer. But that's the normal texture quality. So PVRTC1 is the normal quality. If you enable PVRTC4, you will get higher quality. So on some textures, you may want to enable this box to get a higher quality texture on the device. For example, things with a lot of gradients, a skybox, those might be candidates where I enable PVRTC4. That aside, there is nothing more to report about textures. Just as covered in my asset development videos, however, you should make sure that you keep track of how many textures you have in the scene quite well, because the memory is relatively low on a mobile device. So you should definitely keep track of that. In View Browser Windows, you have a panel called Texture Stats. Click that. It will open it up as a separate window. In my case, I docked it here to, or actually I haven't docked it yet. Okay, so I can open that. You get a separate window, and you can dock that to the main panel here. There we go. This shows you all the textures in use in the level. And this, again, I'm not going to go too deep into this because this is something that I've also covered in the asset development video. But you can sort pretty much by texture size. the group, what kind of texture it is, the format it is currently on PC at least, etc. And especially how big it is. So you can filter out the biggest textures and replace those on mobile. Now what it shows here is what it does on PC. You can see DXCC, that's the PC compression format. If you want to see what it does on mobile, or at least to an extent see what it does on mobile, it's not 100% exactly the same. What you should do is the following. Set this to cooker statistics, and if you do that, you will get a Windows a dialog asking you to open a file. Then you navigate to the install that you have, UDK February 2013 in my case, UDK game, and then cooked iPhone, and you open global persistent cooker data.upk. And then you get to see what it actually installed on the device in a bit more accurate way. You will only have this file, by the way, if you have used this button at least once. So if you have installed the game and the level at least once on the iOS device, then you will have that file, and then you will be able to load that file in through this window, and you can see what it added into that file then. Again, it still says DXCC here, and I believe the size is not entirely accurate either. But you can, for example, see that it embedded this texture. So these are all the textures embedded into the game. So you can try to filter out textures that shouldn't be here. For example, it actually embedded the Castile menu from the Citadel demo. I don't want a Citadel demo Castile menu in my game, for example. So then that would give you a clue on where to look and how to remove that. You would also be able to see that by far the largest textures in here are these two. So again, that would give you an opportunity to do something about that and reduce them in scale, for example. So again, this was covered in the asset development video, but this mobile specific about this is that you should use cooker statistics and then select the cooker statistics, the global persistent cooker data file after you've installed it at least once. And then you will get a bit more accurate view on what it actually did.